The truck had a damn bow on it, one of those big red ones like you see in car commercials, just sitting in the driveway with snow falling around it like some stupid Hallmark movie. I stood there with my $5 Home Depot gift card in one hand and a novelty tape measure in the other, while my parents were out front squealing like teenagers over Danny's brand new F-150. My name's Bradley Morris. I'm 44 years old, a construction foreman out of Bend, Oregon. Just got promoted to site manager this year after 2 decades of grinding it out. I've been through hell this past year. Divorce, empty house, fighting for custody just to get every other weekend, and the only thing I'd looked forward to was coming home for Christmas. Figured maybe this year would feel different. It didn't. Quick note. Before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? I'd pulled into their driveway the night before, bone-tired from the drive. Snow chains still rattling in the back. I was dragging a duffel bag and a shopping bag full of gifts I couldn't really afford. I'd gotten my dad a limited-run set of '69 Mets memorabilia, stuff I spent 2 months tracking down online. For my mom, a signed cookbook by her favorite Food Network chef. She tears up watching the reruns. When I rang the bell, Mom opened the door like I was the UPS guy. "Oh, hey, you made it," she said, wiping her hands on a dish towel. My dad gave me a one-armed side hug and went back to the football game. Then I saw my old room, or what used to be my room, packed with plastic tubs, wrapping paper, and junk stacked up to the ceiling. You couldn't even see the bed. Meanwhile, Danny's room down the hall, same old twin bed with the Seahawks blanket, posters still on the walls, like a damn shrine. Christmas morning came, and I sat through it with my coffee cooling in my hand. Mom handed Danny a small envelope, and we all followed him outside. That's when I saw the truck, brand new, shining black, chrome trim. "Fully paid off," Dad beamed. "He deserves it. That side business of his is really taking off." I tried to smile, but my jaw was locked. I waited until the fuss died down. They handed me a small box. I tore it open and just stared. The tape measure was orange plastic, the kind you find in the dollar bin. I didn't say a word. Dad clapped me on the shoulder. "Thought that'd be handy for your job sites, huh?" I nodded once, walked to the window, and looked back at the truck in the driveway. My breath fogged up the glass. No one asked about the gifts I brought. No one mentioned my promotion. I brought it up at breakfast and Mom blinked like she just remembered I existed. "Oh, that's nice, honey. Danny's Instagram just passed 30,000 followers." I stepped outside in my flannel, no jacket, just needing air. Snow hit my neck like pins. I stood there clutching that dumb tape measure in one hand, the gift card in the other. And for the first time, I didn't feel disappointed. I felt stupid. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn something they had already decided I didn't deserve. I walked to my truck. I leaned against the side of my old Silverado, fingers still wrapped around that cheap-ass tape measure, like it might suddenly make sense. The wind stung my face, but I didn't move. I just stood there, thinking about how long I'd been the outsider in my own damn family. It didn't start this year. It started the moment Danny was born. We grew up in Tigard, just outside Portland. Typical split-level house, patchy yard, same blue siding from '86 still peeling today. I was 4 when Danny came along. Mom always said I was such a good helper. That's code for, we're gonna pile responsibilities on you and call it praise. By 10, I was mowing the lawn every Saturday morning with Dad's old gas mower. I wasn't allowed to sleep in, not when there was work to do. By 12, I was cooking my own dinners on the nights Mom had book club or bridge. I still remember burning my first grilled cheese, scraping the black crust off and eating it anyway. No one noticed, no one asked. By 14, I was watching Danny every weekend. Every weekend. My parents acted like it was normal. "You're the big brother, Bradley. Help out." But when I screwed up, like the time I threw a baseball too hard and cracked the living room window, I got grounded for a month. Danny shattered a lamp during one of his tantrums at 9, and all Mom said was, "He's just sensitive." That word, sensitive. It became the excuse for everything Danny did wrong, and the reason I wasn't allowed to mess up. I remember when Danny brought home a B- on a science quiz in 8th grade. You'd have thought he cured cancer the way they fussed over him. That's such a big improvement. Mom had baked a pie. Dad took him out for burgers. I got straight A's that semester and heard nothing. I didn't make a fuss. I thought maybe if I kept doing everything right, eventually they'd notice. Eventually it'd be my turn. I worked my ass off in high school, but When it came time for college, my parents said money was tight. I didn't argue. Took a warehouse job right after graduation and paid my way through a 2-year construction management program at night. My truck was secondhand, my boots had holes, but I kept showing up every single day. Danny? He graduated and took a gap year, backpacking through Europe, Spain, Italy, some yoga retreat in Croatia, all on their dime. They sent him off with hugs and posted every photo on Facebook like he was some hero returning from war. I still remember the night I got engaged to my ex. We had dinner at my folks' place, told them the news. Mom smiled, said, "That's wonderful," then asked if we could help clean up the dishes. No offer to pitch in, no questions about the wedding. We paid for almost all of it ourselves. Then Danny turned 30. That backyard party? Catered, full bar, a live band they hired from Portland. My mom hand-painted the invitations. My dad gave a toast that ended with, "To the future of the family." I was standing 10 feet away, nursing a flat beer. I can't count how many times I told myself it didn't matter, that I wasn't in it for the recognition, that I was just the capable one, the one they didn't need to worry about. But capable turns into invisible real damn fast. I thought maybe I was just being dramatic. I told myself everyone's family's a little unfair. I let it slide every single time, until this morning. That tape measure broke something in me. It was never about the money. Hell, I've lived on beans and rice before. It was what it meant, that I wasn't even worth the effort to fake it, that they saw Danny as the dream, and me as the hired help. You work your whole life hoping that if you just keep showing up, being reliable, being steady, they'll see you. That one day they'll say, "We're proud of you." I stood in that snow with the wind cutting through my flannel and realized that day was never coming. I didn't go back inside right away. I stood out there in the cold until my fingers stung. Then I turned, went in through the garage, and headed straight for the guest room, the one they pretended was still mine, even though it smelled like old boxes and mothballs. I zipped my bag slowly, quiet, mechanical. I didn't touch the gifts I'd brought, didn't leave a note, just slid the tape measure into my coat pocket, grabbed my duffel, and stepped out the back door like I was taking out the trash. I didn't owe anyone a goodbye. Once I hit the main road, I pulled over into an empty gas station lot and dialed the only person I knew who'd pick up without asking a dozen dumb questions. Tom answered on the second ring. "Brad, you all right?" "No, but I'm done pretending I am." "Where are you?" "Middle of nowhere, halfway to losing my mind." He didn't laugh. "Come to Seattle. You still got that beat-up truck? Still runs?" "My spare room's open. Company's bidding a green build contract downtown. I'll vouch for you. Hell, they need someone who doesn't flake when it rains." I gripped the wheel tighter. "You serious?" "I don't say things I don't mean. You show up, I'll get you in the door." That was Tom, straight shooter. We'd worked side by side on a hospital build years ago. He was the kind of guy who brought extra sandwiches because he knew half the crew never packed lunch. I hung up, sat there a second, then pulled the tape measure from my pocket, rolled it out, watched the thin metal snap back. 5 feet of cheap plastic that told me everything I needed to know. I started the engine. The snow was coming down harder now, but the road was mostly clear. I turned north, wipers squeaking across the windshield, heater barely doing its job. My phone buzzed just as I passed the county line. It was a text from my dad. "Don't forget to check the shed roof before spring. Leaked last year. No, where are you? No, everything okay?" Just a reminder. Like I was a seasonal worker on their property, not their son. I snorted, then let out a laugh I didn't expect. It was bitter, sharp, came from somewhere deep. I laughed until my ribs hurt. They didn't even notice I was gone, not surprised, just finally done lying to myself about it. I tossed the phone onto the passenger seat, rolled down the window a few inches to let the cold bite my cheek, and kept driving. By the time I crossed into Washington, the snow got mean. Not just falling, slamming sideways. Wipers couldn't keep up. I couldn't see 10 feet ahead. I had both hands gripping the wheel and my eyes squinting like I could will the road back into view. I passed a green sign half buried in snow. "Exit 114, Service Plaza, Patty's Diner." I took it without thinking, tires skidding a little on the off-ramp. The lot was almost empty, just my truck and a beat-up minivan coated in slush. I killed the engine and sat for a second, windshield fogging, heat blasting. My knuckles were white. Inside, the diner was straight out of the 70s. Vinyl booths, flickering neon sign in the window, smell of grease and old coffee hanging in the air. A waitress in her 60s shuffled out from behind the counter. Thin gray braid, name tag said Joan. She looked me up and down, coat dusted with snow, red eyes, probably looked like I'd been mugged emotionally, and then run over for good measure. "Sit anywhere you want, hun," she said, voice raspy like she smoked a pack a day but drank water to balance it out. I slid into the corner booth. She brought over a mug of coffee without asking. "You look like you need something warm," I nodded. "Meatloaf okay?" she asked. "Pie's still hot." "Yeah," I said. "That sounds good." She didn't hover, just nodded and walked off. I sat there with my hands wrapped around the mug, letting the heat soak into my fingers. My face felt tight, like I was holding something back without realizing it. When she came back with the food, she paused before setting the plate down. "You running from something? Or to something?" I looked up, startled. "What?" She gave a half shrug. "You got the look, like your chest's full of cement and you can't remember how to breathe." I didn't say anything, just picked up the fork and started eating. The meatloaf was good, old school, heavy on the salt and ketchup. Pie was apple, cinnamon hitting just right. Joan sat down across from me without asking. No notepad, no pretense. 30 years ago, I left a husband who thought silence was love, and kids who thought I owed him just for being born. Took a Greyhound West with 2 suitcases and a busted jaw. This diner gave me a job and a place to be. I stopped chewing. She looked me dead in the eye. "They don't see you? That's their blindness. Don't let it be your burden." That hit like a hammer. She stood up. "Eat slow. I'll top off your coffee." When I got back in the truck, I let it happen. I sat there with the snow smacking the windshield and just cried. Big, ugly, shaking sobs. No music, no phone. Just me, finally letting the damn weight off. After a while, I wiped my face, started the engine, and threw a $100 bill on the table before I left. It was way more than the meal cost. I didn't care. The roads were still rough, but I kept going. 2 exits up, I found a no-name motel with a vacancy sign flickering red. Room smelled like bleach and cigarettes. Didn't matter, it was warm and mine for the night. I dropped my bag, plugged in my phone, and called Tom. "You still good for tomorrow?" I asked. "Room's made up and coffee'll be hot," he said. "You okay?" "I will be." We hung up. I opened my work email, stared at the screen a second, then typed it out. Initiating transfer request. Relocating to Seattle. Effective immediately. Sent. I dug the tape measure out of my coat and dropped it on the nightstand next to the $5 gift card, both of them sitting there like cheap jokes. I looked at them and said out loud, "That's the last time I show up empty." I left that motel before sunrise. Rolled north through freezing fog with a paper coffee cup and greasy breakfast sandwich riding shotgun. When I pulled into Seattle, the skyline looked sharp against the gray sky. Nothing welcoming about it, but I didn't need warm. I needed real. Tom lived in a duplex in West Seattle, quiet street, tools and buckets on the porch, and a "beware of dog" sign, even though his mutt moose wouldn't bite a squirrel. He met me at the curb with a grin and a thermos in hand. "Room's upstairs," he said, clapping my shoulder. "House rule, you clog the toilet, you fix it." "Fair," I said, dragging my duffel inside. The room was small but clean, folded towels, fresh sheets, a window that rattled when the wind hit right. It felt like a damn palace. Next morning, I was on site before the foreman showed up. Big green energy project, retrofitting an old office complex with solar arrays and high-efficiency HVAC. Fancy stuff, but still bricks and beams underneath. First week, the site was a mess. Drainage issue near the foundation, pumps overloaded, mud everywhere. Guys were slipping, losing hours. I looked over the blueprints, took one walk around the lot, and said, "You need to trench out the slope behind the west wall, redirect the runoff to the retention basin." The GC raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" "Yeah." "Fix it now or you'll be jackhammering moldy drywall in 6 months." He didn't argue. We did it. Worked. After that, people started remembering my name. 4 weeks in, I found a place of my own. 1 bedroom above a hardware store in White Center. Smelled like paint thinner and sawdust, which honestly made it feel more like home than my parents' house ever did. Rent was cheap. View was of a dumpster. But it was mine. No junk boxes, no silent tension, no shrine to someone else's life. I set up a workbench in the corner of the living room, put the tape measure and gift card right in the middle of it, not out of spite, out of clarity. That was the line in the sand, before and after. Couple weeks later, Tom dragged me to a boxing gym. Coach Harris ran it. Ex-Army, bad knee, no patience. First day he made me spar with a teenager who nearly knocked my jaw loose. I came back the next day. Saturdays, I trained. Sundays, I found a breakfast group, mostly tradesmen, guys like me, plumbers, welders, roofers. We met at a greasy spoon on Rainier and talked shop, cracked jokes, passed around job leads. No one asked about family, just showed up and ate bacon. One night I found my old construction planner while digging through my duffel, flipped past job notes and material orders, found some empty pages in the back. I started writing. Not deep thoughts, not poetry, just bullet points. Stuff like, don't say yes just to keep peace. Be honest even when it sucks. Earn your own damn peace. I kept going. Every night, one page at a time. I still kept that tape measure and gift card right on the bench. Not to wallow, to remember. That was the cost of going back to sleep. And I wasn't sleeping anymore. A couple months into Seattle life, the texts started. First one came during lunch break. I was sitting on a stack of lumber, biting into a ham sandwich, and my phone buzzed with a message from my mom. Uncle Roy's siding is peeling again. Might need you to take a look when you're around. No, how are you? No, glad you're safe. Just a task. Like I was still on-call property management for the family tree. I didn't respond. Week later, don't forget to file your taxes on time. Penalties stack up. That one was from my dad. I stared at the screen and laughed. Not because it was funny, just hollow, like muscle memory. I deleted it. Then the guilt came. Your mother's not sleeping. Is that what you wanted? That one hit different. Direct shot. Like they thought my silence was punishment instead of survival. Like I was the problem because I'd finally stopped playing along. Still didn't answer. But Danny, he couldn't help himself. He left a voicemail one night, 3 minutes long, his voice all tight and defensive. You know, I don't get why you're acting like this. Over a damn truck? Seriously? You're the one who left without saying a word. You think you're better than us now? Always have. Just too proud to admit it. I listened to the whole thing once, deleted it, then blocked his number. Didn't even flinch. That weekend, I stayed after class at the boxing gym. Harris was cleaning sweat off the mats when I told him what was going on. Just laid it out straight. He didn't stop moving, just said, "Let me guess, now that you ain't carrying the load, they're mad they gotta lift something." "Yeah," I muttered. "Now I'm the selfish one." He looked up, dead serious. "You ain't their pack mule anymore, Morris. Let 'em carry their own damn weight." That line stuck with me. I repeated it later to Tom over pancakes and burnt coffee. He nodded. "Man, you've carried that whole family on your back for 40 years. Time they learned to walk on their own." He wasn't wrong, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel rage either, just relief. I spent the rest of that Sunday in my apartment fixing a broken cabinet door and updating my planner. Quiet, simple, nobody needing anything, no buzzing phone I felt obligated to answer. I looked over at my workbench, saw the tape measure and that stupid gift card still sitting there. That used to feel like a scar. Now it looked like a warning label, not going back to that. I was finishing up a drywall inspection when I heard someone call my name from the sidewalk. "Bradley?" I turned, and there he was, my dad. Carl Morris, in the flesh, standing outside a Seattle job site in his windbreaker like he belonged there. He looked smaller than I remembered, thinner, hair fully gray now. He gave a half wave, like we'd just bumped into each other at the grocery store. "Didn't know you were in town," I said flatly, walking over. "Figured I'd stop by, thought maybe we could grab a coffee." I glanced at my crew, gave a quick signal that I'd be gone a bit, and stepped off the site. We walked 2 blocks to a tiny corner cafe with more plants than seats, ordered black coffee, sat in silence. He cleared his throat. "Things have been rough since Christmas." I didn't say anything. "Danny crashed the truck a couple weeks ago. Icy roads. He's all right, but insurance didn't cover everything. He lost that contract he was working. Between that and the medical bills..." I waited. Let him sit in it. He kept going. "Money's tight. We've been dipping into savings. Your mother's worried." There it was, the slow lead up to the ask. I sipped my coffee. Then he leaned back and gave me a look I knew too well. The "let me reason with you" look. You've always had your feet under you, son. You never needed much. Danny just needed the help more. I let the silence hang a second longer before answering. And I needed to be seen, I said. You didn't give that to me. He frowned. You're being too sensitive. I actually laughed, short and sharp. No, I'm finally being honest. He looked down at his cup, then out the window. I've got a good life now, I said. One I built myself. I'd be open to having a relationship with you, but it's on my terms. You don't get to guilt me into it. He nodded slowly. I didn't come to guilt you. I raised an eyebrow. He didn't push back, just kept staring at his coffee like it had answers in the steam. We sat a few more minutes, neither of us saying much. Eventually he stood. Well, thanks for the time, he said. Yeah? We didn't hug, didn't shake hands, just walked out of the cafe together, stopped at the corner, and split ways without ceremony. There was no apology, but there was no denial either. For the first time in our lives, we'd actually said what we meant. The smoke curled off the grill as Tom flipped the steaks, laughing at something Harris had said about drywall inspectors being failed magicians. We were all up on my apartment rooftop, 5 of us, bundled in hoodies and work jackets, eating steak and potatoes off paper plates, drinking cold beer from red Solo cups. It was Christmas Day. My Christmas. The only one that had ever actually felt like mine. Joan sat across from me, wrapped in a thick plaid coat, hands cradling a hot cider. She'd surprised me by mailing a homemade pecan pie with a sticky note that just said, "Still standing?" I called and told her she was invited no matter what. She showed up with the pie, a grin, and a small gift bag. When I opened it, I saw the frame, simple wood. Inside it, black script on white paper, seen and heard. My throat tightened. I nodded, didn't trust myself to speak. After dinner, I handed myself a wrapped box from under the folding table. Everyone knew it was mine. I didn't care. I tore off the paper and opened the lid. A full tool set, top shelf quality, every piece engraved with my name. Something I never got growing up. Something I damn sure earned now. Tom clapped me on the back. No excuses now if my deck rots. Long as you buy the lumber, I shot back. We stayed up another hour, trading stories, laughing hard, music low in the background. It wasn't big, it wasn't flashy, but it was real. Danny called me last week. He's working maintenance for a property company now. Full-time, says he's tired all the time. I told him, welcome to the party. We talk now and then. It's civil, honest, for once. My parents still send a Christmas card, generic one from Walgreens with a printed signature. I don't respond. I'm not angry. I'm just done trying. When everyone left and I locked up, I walked back into my apartment, carrying Joan's empty pie tin and a cooler of leftover beer. Snow had started to fall, soft and steady outside the window. I pulled the shadow box off the shelf, opened it, and gently placed the $5 Home Depot card and that orange tape measure inside. Below them, I tucked a note I'd written a few nights earlier on a torn piece of graph paper. Reminder. You don't need their permission to live a damn good life. I hung it on the wall above my workbench. Then I poured a nightcap, stepped onto the balcony, and watched the flakes swirl through the streetlight. I wasn't lonely, I was free.